warriors made strong rope. It was used for this purpose at least 3,000 years before Christ. Clothes were woven from it by the Scythians in southern Russia. They also discovered that the smoke from burning hemp seeds made them extremely dry. For the ancient Chinese, marijuana or hemp would become a medicine to be chewed, drunk, or smoked. It was also shared with friends at social gatherings. The Indians attached religious significance to marijuana and processed it into sweets, milkshakes, and again for use in pipes. Known in Africa and the Near East as hashish, the resin from the female marijuana plant is to this very day the intoxicant most favored by the Arabs. Cannabis as a drug did not catch on in Europe until the 1800s. Then a handful of literary figures took it up and exaggerated its powers, good and bad, far beyond its real effect. While in this country, medicines made from marijuana were available until 1937, and Squibb, Eli Lilly, and Port Davis recommended cannabis extracts for asthma, tension, pain. In the early 1900s, Mexicans brought marijuana across the border. Merchant seamen introduced it to New Orleans as an intoxicant, and its usage spread into America's heartland by Mississippi steamboats. In the 1920s and 30s, with alcohol prohibited, fears mushroomed that what had been primarily on white grub would break out together and sabotage the American work ethic on which the establishment was founded. Sensational news stories began popping up that told of marijuana driving men mad, of young children addicted, even deaths. It didn't matter that the stories weren't based on fact. People believed, outraged parents demonstrated, and Hollywood jumped in to capitalize on the public panic, exaggerating the drug's effects.
Incurably insane, a condition caused by the drug marijuana to which he was addicted. It is recommended, Your Honor, that the defendant be placed in an institution for the criminally insane for the rest of his natural life.
I see no reason why the request should not be granted.
We know now that marijuana does not cause insanity. It does not provoke violence. It is not addictive. But the debris from such muddled notions lingers on. The effect has been a radical counter-reaction. Today, marijuana supporters are just as biased in their claims for pot as their parents and grandparents were in denouncing it.
Marijuana and LSD affect different people differently.
Sometimes they make a person feel pleasant and dreamy. Sometimes terrified.
Sometimes wildly irresponsible.
And always, they keep a person from thinking clearly.
When I'm high, my head works more intelligently, more accurately.
You feel like euphoria, how they pronounce it?
Or euphoria.
Euphoria, yeah, very happy. Then you question your goals, like what have I done in life and that kind of trash.
I'm 26 years old, I'm a public accountant, and I smoke.
I feel that a lot of the fear is due to the fact that the use of marijuana is spreading into the middle and upper classes.
Two other drugs, marijuana and LSD, disturb the nervous system seriously. Both drugs do something to the brain that distorts the appearance of the world. A brain under the influence of marijuana distorts the sense of space and time. The brain may tell a person that his car is going this fast instead of this fast.
Marijuana has both male and female plants, with the female resin, stems, and leaves far more intoxicating than the male. Its chemical structure is complex, with the most active element believed to be THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. The most comprehensive study of marijuana yet made was completed more than 75 years ago. A 3,000-page report compiled by the Indian Hemp Commission, it concluded that with moderate use, there was no evidence of physical damage. New York City's LaGuardia report in the late 1930s reached the same conclusion. Though we know little more about marijuana today than we did in 1895, some general conclusions can be drawn. Smoking may cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. There may be an increase in the pulse rate. It was once thought that the marijuana smoker could be recognized by his dilated pupils. Researchers now say there is little, if any, dilation. The mouth and throat may feel dry and parched. The smoker may suffer mild tremors. Though there is no change in blood sugar, there is hunger and a high appreciation for food. Time seems to move more slowly. Psychologically, where one smokes, when one smokes, what one expects has much to do with a person's marijuana experience. If while smoking, your brain sees a chair in a neutral setting, there may be little or no reaction. If surroundings are luxurious, the sensation may be pleasant. But if one's afraid, if use where he comes from is considered socially deviant, if he doesn't think much of himself, he may get bad reactions, ranging from mild depression to extreme anxiety, even panic. In some cases, symptoms may last or recur days or weeks after having smoked. The way psychological and chemical quirks interact with marijuana to alter perception has only recently become the subject of laboratory research. Here we've discovered that marijuana seems to have little effect in simple tests involving speed. But when it comes to matching colors or remembering numbers which require judgment and physical coordination, there is impairment. Once the government blocked such testing. Now it underwrites scientists as they try to define more accurately the marijuana experience. Even so, no one predicts we'll find out all we need to know about long-term effects in less than 10 to 15 years. Highly practical and needed experiments into short-term aspects of the drug involve marijuana and automobiles. To compare drivers who've been drinking, smoking pot, and when sober, a driving simulator has been employed. So far, tests show that alcohol increases errors involving brakes, speedometer, and turn signals. No significant increase in error was noted after the same driver smoked marijuana. He did just about as well as when sober. But researchers caution that a simulator is not a car. There's been no test of driving for long periods of time. Measuring what this drug can do should not be left to the individual experimenting with himself. It belongs in the laboratory, where animals are used.
Many people get trapped on ups and downs, a dangerous drug seesaw.
The difference between barbiturates and amphetamine use is marked. The barbiturates are sedatives. They depress the central nervous system. The person taking barbiturates may kind of forget when they last took it and how much they took, and find themselves taking more than they safe to take and overdose themselves.
Amphetamines, on the other hand, are stimulants. They wake you up, they drive you, they energize you, and lead to exhaustion eventually. The addict will go on a run for periods of days or maybe even weeks, taking very large quantities, and then he will suddenly realize, or will gradually realize, that he's getting worn out. He may stop and crash, which is a formidable experience for him. The resulting depression can be deep enough to produce death.
The
sophisticated amphetamine addict will
soften his crash, using barbiturates to soften the physical discomfort of the crash